Hello, everybody, and a very good morning. Welcome to Elite Business Connect at Technology for Marketing. A very warm welcome. It's fantastic to see so many of you here in front of us, but whether you're joining us in this room, whether you're joining us on the live stream, or whether you're watching on demand later, a very warm welcome. I'm Aarti Halai. I am a presenter, an entrepreneur, and an investor, and I get the lucky task today to chair an exciting panel discussion on how to successfully integrate AI into your business. The MarTech landscape is continuing to evolve. And for small and medium-sized businesses, the potential for AI to streamline operations, enhance customer engagement, and deliver actionable insights is vast. Today, we'll explore strategies, the challenges and the opportunities, those pitfalls to avoid, and of course, whether you're at the start of your AI journey or whether you're looking to scale your efforts, we have a panel of experts providing insights and real-life world examples on how to harness AI effectively into your business. Can I just ask, can you all hear me okay? You should have headphones otherwise. No, you don't need them. I'm told you don't need them. Okay, great. I love it when it works like this. Joining me on the panel today, let me introduce our esteemed panelists. First, we have Dr. Georgios Michalakidas. He is the Group Chief Technology Officer at Perkbox and Vivup. He has over 20 years' experience scaling startups and teams, and he builds secure, scalable, and user-friendly platforms that drive value for clients. Georgios holds a PhD in machine learning and is an associate fellow of the Higher Education Academy. Beside him, we have Dr. Alok Shukla, the CEO and co-founder of Implement AI, with extensive experience in technology and clinical fields, having started his AI journey in 2018. He collaborates with organizations across a variety of sectors to implement AI and intelligent automation to drive business growth. And by no means least, we have Ellen Bishop. Ellen is founder and managing director of Elsia. With a background in communication and project management, Ellen founded Elsia in 2017 as a communications consultancy and transformed it in 2023 after exploring AI technology's potential. She identified a gap in the market to demystify AI, remove jargon, and offer businesses clear guidance and training for successful AI integration. So, I know you'll welcome me as I welcome these guests, and we get cracking on how to integrate AI successfully in our businesses. So, welcome to our esteemed panelists. And I want to start off, first of all, by demystifying some myths around AI, and particularly when it comes to businesses, myths around, if you agree or not, the cost of implementation. Whether they'll replace jobs, all of these. So let me come, first of all, to you, Ellen.
Thank you so much, Aarti. So I think that, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Can we hear Ellen? I don't think Ellen's mic is on.
Testing, testing, 1, 2,
Ellen?
3. Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm loud.
Thank you.
Ooh. Oh, I better say something clever. So I think there are so many myths around AI. And I think the first one we need to tackle is whether or not you need to be an expert in AI. I am proof that actually you don't. And what you do need is a really open growth mindset and a really clear understanding of what you want AI to do. So I think you need to lead with the business challenge or the desired outcome, and then track back as to whether AI can help you. For example, with marketing, there are so many tools that can help you. And as a SME particularly, time and money are always the most precious of resources and often the most limited. So there are a lot of AI tools out there, CoSchedule, Hyamea, Jasper, Writer, as well as things like ChatGPT and Google's Gemini that can actually help businesses to identify ways that they can create content, save time, and in the case of ChatGPT and Gemini, you can actually use them for free. And a lot of tools are now on a monthly subscription basis, so they are affordable. So I think one of the biggest myths around AI is that because it's this super technology, it's actually going to be out of the price range of small and medium-sized businesses, and that's just not the case.
Thank you. Same question to you, Alok. How would you allay concerns that SME leaders may have around some of the myths that I've been telling you about?
Sure. Thanks, Arti. So I think AI actually presents one of the biggest opportunities for smaller businesses and entrepreneurs because you can be very agile and get things in place quite quickly. Everybody's starting from the same new landscape in this kind of new AI-assisted era, and really, you've got the opportunities to expand your team with AI agents or other things which didn't exist before, where you can actually have essentially a new workforce, and you can augment your team where you can actually give them tools for real-time training and knowledge and insights in real time. So your existing team can do things better, and you can actually have a whole new team. So really, given the fact that most news is bad news, inflation, all these other things, this is actually a real opportunity to seize. And so, you don't need to be an expert, collaborate with experts, but you need to know your business and how you can operationalize AI within it.
And Georgios, what about from your experience?
I agree with the two colleagues.
Another mic problem, please. Can we look at Georgios'
I think it's not
mic?
working now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, complexity of implementing AI models, having applied AI within a workspace is exponentially reducing. I think that one misconception is that you need specialist resource, quite advanced, for example, data scientists. You don't. It's very similar to what we did with data probably a decade ago now. We poured software engineers to develop data models and advanced reporting and BI, and then gradually you ended up having specific data resource, and that became a brand new field. There's a context which I really like, which is called citizen developers, so that's effectively casual, no-code or low-code implementation of systems for modeling, analysis, automation, and that effectively allows, for example, marketing specialists to apply superpowers for things that otherwise software developers would do, and I think that's an incredibly good way to fast-pace implementation of AI within businesses.
And if we take the assumption that AI is for any size of business, any SME business can implement it and should be implementing, where would they start? How would they gauge their readiness? And Ellen, you mentioned quite a lot of AI tools that are already out there, some obviously subscription-based, but a lot that are free as well when it comes to content creation, when it comes to workflow automation. So where would they gauge their readiness? How would they start, and with what sorts of tools?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I think from our perspective, what we always try and do is help our clients to identify the process that they already have and to work out where there is a gap between what they want to do and what they can currently do, and also to understand where they want to make improvements. So that's topically normally efficiencies, time efficiencies, and as Alok said, AI tools really give you this ability to not only utilize the resources that you already have, but to actually, in effect, create a whole new team where you can get new data insights. So I think it's looking at the process you currently have and working out how you would like it to be better. And as Alok also said, it's about working with experts to help you, guide you on that journey, and finding partners that you trust, that you can share your ideal goals with, your current process, and then map back to what you would like to do.
Georgios, if I could just come to you, could you give us some real examples of businesses that you've worked with that have implemented AI, and what has worked and what hasn't worked as well? What were the lessons?
So at Perkbox VivUp Group, we started a kind of AI experimentation journey around about 2023, early 2023. So that's where the more kind of functional, powerful generative AI models started kind of appearing, and they were quite easy to use and straightforward. Things that still don't work for us, controversially for some, is customer support, for example, automation. or generative content generation. To me, any business that has a very unique proposition usually has a quite complex model. So when you're looking at something a lot more advanced than, say, a simple e-commerce solution, there are advanced e-commerce solutions, then you usually cannot apply an out-of-the-box solution to automate those kinds of channels. And I think there is a bit of a complexity there in the sense that businesses choose to do that as the kind of immediate maximum gain, but you can't start with that. You need to start slow. You need to start with a use case which is kind of compact, with a bit of expertise in the field. A concept, again, which is quite popular is RPA, robotic process automation. The NHS is all over it, public sector is all over it. I think this will transition over to smaller businesses, and that effectively is do something that saves repetitive time from individuals, whether that's an internal function to your business or an external function to the business. So the other side of the examples that did work for us is when we tried to automate internal process, whether that's on the legal side of things within our kind of governance, risk and compliance function, commercial operations, or indeed engineering, where automation in code writing or code testing can again be achieved with very little effort.
Alec, what have your experiences been like with clients where you've worked with them on implementing AI?
Sure. So I find that the most exciting opportunities are in non-technology businesses. The most important thing is actually have the business owners or the business leaders having that open mindset. So to give an example of different sectors, companies that provide flat roofing solutions, for example, they had been to many conferences and they'd captured lots of leads, but their team never got around to calling those people. So we've done, for example, AI-powered reactivation campaigns where an AI agent calls all those people on their behalf, finds out what the status of their planning permission is, when they want to do something, and go from there. So that's like someone that could do hundreds and hundreds of calls over a weekend, and then they've got like, the team have got fresh leads on a Monday morning. Other areas have been within healthcare businesses where we've actually created an AI model which will actually understand more about prescriptions and the person to help build a personalized profile so they can be better targeted with services and actually even preventive advice that they would potentially need. But there's many examples, even like, for example, inviting people to an event, personalized AI video like SendSpark, or personalization of enrichment of data like with Clay. You can actually have a video which then has like your client or the person you're inviting's website on there, and you saying hi with their name and inviting. And I find that this AI personalization really increases open rates and engagement. So it's a really exciting time now, I think. You know.
And it is, I know one of your specialist areas is AI voice technology. So would that be something appropriate for somebody, an SME that's using AI for the first time, implementing AI in their business for the first time?
Yeah, so just to give an example, because like for business owners, it's all about your payroll and your cost and everything like this. So you can implement these solutions for like less than a part-time person, and yet it could actually do more than what 3 people could do potentially, right? So I would totally say look at it, try it, pilot it in your area, but there's many things you can do with voice, not just having calling on your behalf, but also inbound, you know, like getting more data from your customers, sending personalized reports to them based on the information they had, or even other tools which sit in front of your team, and as they have a conversation with the client, it shows them the right products, the right information directly, so you can take a junior and make them perform like a senior, basically.
Can I just pick up on a point that I think you made, Georges, and that was very much around, you know, should SMEs actually build in-house AI expertise, or should they rely on off-the-shelf services? Ellen, I'll put the question to you.
So here at Alcia, what we would always recommend is that SMEs start off their AI journey with out-of-the-box, off-the-shelf solutions. Typically, they're cheaper, they've been tested, they've been modeled, they are often specially designed for SMEs as well. And there is a cost implication. So designing a bespoke AI tool takes a lot of time. It takes a significant amount of expertise. It will need a lot of testing, so it's normally longer to implement, and there is an additional cost to that as well, which often puts it out of the price range of a lot of SMEs. So our recommendation would be to trial some out-of-the-box solutions, and then if you come to a problem that can't be fixed using an AI solution, that's when you start to explore it. But during that journey of trialing out-of-the-box solutions, you will also be learning how you approach AI, the types of functionality it can do, understanding, you know, where it creates efficiencies, where it really helps your business. And all that knowledge would be really, really important before you started to go down the designing your own AI tool route.
And I think for a lot of SMEs, there is that whole challenge that AI, generative AI, requires large amounts of data, large volumes of data.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I would say is that, like, honestly, it's time to engage, because you need to have a vision for like how your business could be and how your sector could be reimagined with AI, like how the customer experience is transformed and how your operations are transformed. And there's a spectrum, like you were saying. You've got like tools, you've got AI assistants, you've got agents, and you need to have an experience with all of them and understand from there. I mean, really, it's a good time to engage with it. And in terms of data, I mean, Bloomberg is a good example, right? So Bloomberg, very rich company, has lots of data, create their own AI model for reading financial reports. GPT actually outperformed it because it had more data to begin with. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel, you just need to leverage these things that are already there within your business.
Yeah, great sound advice there. Can I just move on a little bit and talk around the AI ethics and bias, of course. So AI systems raise ethical concerns, particularly when it comes to data privacy, biases in decision making. What have been your experiences, and what would you say to SME businesses when it comes to implementing AI? Giorgio?
Personally, I think that you need an underlying framework. It doesn't take long to implement. There's a lot of resources online. What we did both at Workbox with upending the Bluetooth software R&D consultancy, which is my other hat, is effectively develop a policy, particularly for protection of company data. This is nowadays very easy. Things like your Microsoft systems and your Bing ChatGPTs. I think that's a good starting point. So at least you ensure that anything confidential to your business does not facilitate training of the wider models. However, the landscape's quite complicated, so you probably want to trust kind of advanced systems, popular, prominent entities, Microsoft being one. I think Apple has expedited that journey to kind of trustworthiness, if that's the right term, of AI with what they launched, because they effectively segregate data, they provide the right assurances, and I think soon, as in within the next year really, we'll see Apple also enter the kind of business domain, where primarily today it's a US-based one just for private users, as in end users and their devices.
Can I ask the same question to both of you?
Yeah,
because regulation is important.
I would definitely say regulation is really important, but I also think that there is an importance for us all individually to take responsibility for how we engage with AI, how we use it. One of the things Alcia does is set up the AI Council for a lot of our small and medium-sized companies, which enables everyone within the company to be representative and responsible for their company and how they adopt and use AI within it. We help to create policies and governance documents, all these things that we do for, everyone has a HR policy or a marketing policy. It's the same concept. And actually what we need to do is have a leader within a business who's responsible for AI, just the way you would for finance or wider technology. We need someone within the business who will take responsibility and ownership for that. However big the business is, if you're a one-man band, then that's going to be you. If you're a company of 5,000, you still need someone who is responsible for the overall usage of AI. And companies need to adopt policies. I think, Alok and Georgios have both said, that AI is here to stay, and we really need to start imagining how it's going to fit within our structures and within our businesses. And developing policies and owning our own governance for it is really important.
Yeah, I completely agree. As you're saying, it's important to have like the working group, because I think you have to be very simple and concrete. AI is extremely powerful. If you actually start interacting and using some of these things, it will naturally have some fears and concerns of your team members. So you have to like articulate a clear vision of like where the company's going. We want everyone to have a better job, grow revenue per employee, and we want to like use technology where we can so that they feel allayed and they don't want to kind of sabotage or block any initiatives. You have to have clear policy about how it's going to enable people, how you're going to communicate with data and have different things like this. But then also you need to have a practical working group where you can discuss everything. So I think it's the three dimensions are important, because this is transformation. The companies that seize this will transform, and it will set whole new areas and make you a better place to work.
So transformation, a good T word. Here's another one I'll put in your direction, trust. So, do people trust what you're saying when you're using AI?
Well, I think that kind of comes back to authenticity. And I think we need to kind of get past this point where we think using AI means that we're being inauthentic. I'd actually argue that there are a lot of AI tools that enable you to actually be your most authentic self in a way that you can train it with your tone of voice, your style of phrasing, the type of content you want to produce. Actually, that becomes far more authentic and consistent for your brand than hiring in new people, they don't quite get it, and you start churning over content that doesn't quite hit the mark. Actually, AI can remove all of that. So I think what we need to do is reimagine and rethink how we think about authenticity. And using AI does not mean that your business is not being authentic.
No, I completely agree. With AI, you can actually scale your personal touch. So I'll give an example. One company that we worked with, they provide wills and estate planning, something which is generally quite a difficult situation. And what they have is they have an AI avatar of different advisors, which will then actually engage with the person once they've engaged on that process, saying, hi, I'm John, and you're going to be engaging with me, and here's some information before our meeting. And so it's that person that's engaging with you. Obviously, it's AI, but they've given their time and their thought to what is being said, so you can actually scale that touch. Other examples, like for example, thought leadership, I've seen where people write very nice articles or very nice essays, but I actually enjoy listening to those articles or essays as almost like a podcast in that person's voice. And again, I know it's AI, but it still builds that relationship and that trust. And I think that's really a good opportunity to scale that connection, because ultimately our wetware, our brain, we will create emotional connections to things. So if you use it in a smart and personalized way, I think you could have a much better experience.
Personally, we saw a big difference in the businesses when it comes to a kind of raw model, so when you use your ChatGPT, versus something which is fine-tuned, curated. So for example, Alok's description of their products at Implement, you know that you're not using the kind of pure underlying product. You use something which is crafted. So to your example about the persona, it's still your content. You write it, it says it. Therefore, you write your text, it does it automatically. And I think there is this kind of thin line. It reminds me, actually, there is a saying which goes, content, I'm trying to remember, content is the advertising space for what's otherwise filled in between the ads. So there's this kind of mussed up version, so say the marketers anyway, of ad being the primary kind of bit of content within an article and content being secondary. And I think you can see this kind of blend of information. It's today very clear to us that ads are separated from content. I think that element of trust will bring those two together, and I think one thing that will achieve this is relevancy. Because at the moment, you're all trying to scroll through those ads, disable them, skip them, report them. That's what I do anyway. But if they were relevant, and if they were not just about products, about bundled services and so on, I feel I would trust personally a service and this particular use case of AI more than I do today.
Okay, let's just move on a little bit. And I have left plenty of time for questions from you. So in a couple of moments, we'll come and I'll open it up to the floor for our panelists to answer any questions you may have. But we're at the Technology for Marketing event. So when we look at how AI has transformed marketing practices for SMEs in terms of personalization, automation in terms of data analysis, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, the whole of the content creation sphere has changed.
Personally, I love where we're going to be in a couple of years' time, and that is effectively what we now treat as omni-channel marketing, converting to ubiquitous computing. We got this wrong so many times, so that concept of any device, any location, I think we are close to being able to achieve that, and that means that it will simplify the way that we consume content a lot more than it does today. It will simplify the way that we produce content, and it would almost not matter what the format is or where this is delivered to. I think ubiquitous computing is definitely a concept to stay close to. It's going to be quite complex, but I can see already solutions being built and implemented that will take us towards that goal. Think in a world where you literally have someone in your ear or listening to you that can fully understand the context of what you're saying and execute based on that.
Seeing that you're all immersed in AI, in businesses, working with SMEs, what would you say do you see are the biggest challenges at the moment?
I think some of the biggest challenges are being overwhelmed by the opportunity that there is and not having maybe the confidence to go for it. And I think one of the things that I would say is that there is a massive opportunity and that's really exciting. And one of the ways to make yourself kind of propel yourself to experiment and to trial different tools is to consider what the cost is going to be of not implementing AI. The thing is, AI is everywhere. More and more businesses, I think about just under 50% of SMEs collectively in the UK are using AI. So that 50% are already going ahead of where you are if you're not using it. They will have better data, they will have more efficient processes, they will have a different cost output aligning within their business. And ultimately, to take advantage of AI, you need to have a growth mindset of experimenting with it, and you need to really feel the fear of not embracing it, because by doing that, you'll move yourself forward.
I did hear the stat from Be the Business, 46% of SMEs are not implementing any type of AI at all.
And they're
so
just
it's
going to
startling.
be so far behind, aren't they? It's a journey that's picking up pace. AI is not slowing down. It's only going to get faster. So it's kind of that case of at some point you're going to have to get on board, and you may as well do that now and start reaping the benefits.
That 46% should come and talk to us.
Yeah.
I think I completely agree with what you're saying, because if you think about it, any software tool now has AI in it, okay? So you can think about basic tools as spell check. Everybody has spell check. It's not a competitive advantage to have spell check, okay? So you can't look at what's the most basic thing and okay, yeah, that's AI for AI's sake, but really you're missing the point. There's kind of a pyramid of ascension, and if you think about when you have your own kind of personalized agents, or you've got your own internal tools augmenting your team, that's where you can actually really step away from everyone else. So while people are looking at the latest CRM, which now is an intelligent search, yeah, fine. But what about all the unstructured data? How can you have a personalized business? Before it used to be the shopkeeper knew the customers that came in, for example. Now you can almost replicate that by having AI that analyzes the calls, you know what people were interested in, you can target them and suggest the right things. So, I would challenge people to actually think bigger, basically.
I think one of the fears, though, is the pace of this movement. And I think for a lot of people, number one, they'll be overwhelmed. Number two, they'll probably be thinking, well, I'm just getting my head around this, and the whole thing's moved on ahead. What would you say?
Well, I would say that actually, if you think in sort of systems, think okay, I've got an area which I want to improve. I have no AI in it right now, okay? So can I implement something to get better, basically? Then look at the next high impact area. It's theory of constraints, right? You look at where's the next opportunity, and then what can you apply within there? And if there's an incrementally better AI solution afterwards, it's not necessarily worth switching out. Just take a step back, just think in systems, and then think what will make the difference? What will make the boat go faster, basically?
The way to avoid inertia in these kinds of cases is to have someone which is an accountable party. I think, Ellen, you mentioned this earlier. Has set someone who is the leader within the particular business that will carry that flag, implement AI, and that becomes the kind of mandate for the particular individual.
Ellen, did you want to come in?
I think there's that real sense that we really need to be open to it and accept there's going to be a level of change and progression that everyone's going to need to go on. And I think, Georgios, you said earlier that to get started with a really small scale project, with a really clear scope, a really defined agenda of what you want to achieve out of it. One of our clients is, a medium-sized company. They've got one person in their marketing team and about 5 or 6 brands that one person is responsible for. So we're working with them to implement an AI tool that can help them schedule multiple posts from multiple different platforms. That enables him to do his job better, and it gives him data and information, as well as a massive time saving.
So one of the questions I'll ask you now is, what would your top 3 tools or platforms be for someone who might be thinking, all right, I can understand kind of creating areas in my business and looking at those areas, and which one might I want to choose first to experiment a bit with? This word's come up quite a bit as well, experiment. So have you got any guidance for our audience in terms of what the top 3 tools might be, or the platforms might be, as a starting point?
Sure.
Go, Ryan.
So I think what's important is you need to almost shift your paradigm of thinking about what's possible. So 3 tools that I could recommend. One would be HeyGen. So I would actually try and create your own video avatar from it and see just how good it is. See yourself talking in French or Portuguese or stuff like that. I'm showing something in the afternoon if someone wants to watch that. Then the second thing I would also look at is like, how can you personalize? So a tool like Clay, so you can actually have that fed in through LinkedIn, and you can actually say, okay, who are all the people following this page, all the people that liked this, and then how can I understand how many people are in that company and lots of different things. So you can actually like listen at scale. And then the third thing I would say is that like try some voice AI. So like try it and see if you can role play with an AI agent. We have some on our website. You can actually talk with it and understand. And so you start to shift your thinking. So I think really you just want to like shift your thinking.
Okay.
Similar thing really, voice search optimization, voice SEO, huge thing. There are a few platforms out there, some of them free. I think it's breakthrough. For businesses which are a bit further advanced on their data journey in particular, you really can't go wrong with something like Fabric. So that's effectively your Power BI systems, or the rebrand, I suppose, of your reporting systems that we used to be traditional Power BI, and it automates the heck out of things, really. You can ask for forecasts and analyses that otherwise you couldn't even dream of without pouring 4 days of resource from a senior engineer. And that's it.
I would recommend starting maybe with something like Chat and Gemini. They're free tools. Play around, write different prompts. One of the things we do in some of our training courses is we give the same prompt and we ask people to put it into both tools at the same time and see how different the response is. They're both free tools, you can't break them, and start to see and explore how different prompts and how different documents can be created and what kind of content can be created. That's an easy way to get started, and it's free. The other thing I would look at is time saving. So things like scheduling tools and project management tools. Anything that's going to help you streamline the processes so you can visually see where within your process you're losing time, and something that tracks and keeps a pace of what's happening within your business.
So I want to move on about looking ahead now. You've given us some really sound advice for someone who might be just starting out on their AI journey, someone who's well into it and looking ahead. What about far ahead, the next 5 years? Where is this all going? How is this going to pan out and shape up?
Well, I guess it's all about data for me. You know, if you look at causal AI or neurosymbolic AI, you're always looking as a marketeer to understand what your customers are wanting, where they are, how they want to engage with you. And all data within AI tools are going to lead the way to actually giving you more information. And the next generation of AI is actually not just telling you where, what, and how, but it's actually telling you why. You know, causal AI, for example, if someone's buying an umbrella and then they also buy a raincoat, causal AI tells you why that is. Is that because of the weather, or is that because they just were placed together in the shop? So the next generation of marketing tools is actually going to be all about data.
I think like 2 things will be, one, there'll be teams of AI agents working, you know, within departments, within businesses, and actually like potentially owning particular elements of the customer experience. For example, if you're in a shop and you want to find out more about this product and you want to, for example, understand how will it fit with other products that you've got which aren't from that brand, you know, there will be an AI retail assistant you could just talk with, understand, maybe share photos and get personalized information, recommendations for that. So I see that. Also with real-time augmentation, I mean, nowadays with the speed of these voice models, it's very easy for that shop assistant also to have like an earpiece, and then they could be getting suggestions and answers in real time to be able to answer to the customer directly. So I really think that kind of workforce augmentation and also, you know, expansion, that's going to be huge.
Agree. I can also see adaptation of regulatory frameworks around AI so that they can actually become a bit more, not less restrictive, but you know, encompassing, I suppose, AI. GDPR, I can see it changing, and I think this is coming again within perhaps next year and a half. We'll see. To give you an example, at Viva, probably early this year, we ran a simulation. We have about 2.5 million NHS users where the de facto provider of employee benefits to the NHS. And we figured out that actually by understanding their behavior analytics, we could pitch a lot better proposition to them, more relevant products. And again, you're looking at the breadth of schemes like salary sacrifice, cars, gift cards. We can't use it. We just cannot use it. It's beyond what the legislation currently allows us to do. However, nothing's amiss. We've built this technology. We will kind of resurrect it and start again at the point where those kinds of restrictions or some way around utilizing that data will be possible. And I do think in terms of metadata and enhancement of metadata, it is something we will see within the next year and a half.
And of course, a lot relies on the data input itself being as accurate as possible. Okay, I want to open it to the floor. Has anybody got any questions? And if you've got a question, can you tell us first of all your name, what your question is, and who you want to direct the question to, please? Just put your hand up and we'll bring a mic to you. Okay, we have a gentleman here in the front row, please. Could you bring the mic to this gentleman? Hello, thank you. Who are you and what's your question?
Hello, firstly, thank you.
Could you hold the mic closer? Thank you.
My name's Matthew Marston-Jones. I work for Standard Chartered, so we're a really big financial institution, and the governance is really, really strict. We have our council, we have our representatives, but we're still in a phase where AI is turned off on everything. And I guess the biggest fear that we've got from our council is that we're in an environment where we do get attacks for cybersecurity and stuff. So it's kind of to all three of you. What would be your advice for sort of going to the council and saying things can be safe, things can be secure? How do we move that forward?
Sure. So I mean, shadow IT is a thing, right? So people are using their own software tools within businesses which aren't necessarily officially paid for. I'm sure people will be using their own AI tools for different things, but it's not officially adopted. I think it's important to have some sort of sandbox and testing about what use cases can be done for, how different ones can be, and I think you have to do that because you're absolutely right. I was talking before about the sophistication of phishing attacks. AI being used offensively against you is becoming quite advanced, and I've seen some very personalized things. So I think you have to do something. Just saying that everything's turned off is not going to work because people will still use things. So you have to actually figure out and work that way through, basically.
Did you want to add anything? The question was around security and safety.
I think things like Copilot can be used in a closed environment, so there might be ways that you can start to utilize some AI tools that they won't be as effective if they're not open to everything, but you can start to integrate AI in a closed, almost sandbox environment or a closed environment within the network of your organization, where you are still starting to leverage some of the power of AI, but it will only be from data within your organization.
Thank you.
Terrific, thank you.
Okay, who else? We have a question here from this gentleman. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, all right? Yeah, okay, perfect. Thanks, guys, for the...
Could I ask you to hold the mic as close as possible?
Yes, all right,
Thank you.
okay, thanks. Thanks for the insights today on the topic. Briefly was discussed about the biases of AI. My question is to Alec. We hear in the media, of course, that AI can hallucinate data. If you work with prescriptions, as you mentioned before, how can you guarantee the quality of the AI-generated information? Because with marketing content, it's okay that it is sometimes wrong, but with prescriptions, it's kind of dangerous. How are you looking at that?
Okay, thanks. Just to make sure I understood your question, how do you verify the output or the accuracy of the AI data?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. You're correct, because one of the features of AI is that it's creative, and at the same time also that's one of the things where it hallucinates potentially, right? So what you want to do is, if you're going to be using it internally within your business, you have to set it up and customize it in the right way. So first of all, it needs to be fed your tone of voice. Just imagine, think of it like an employee, right? What's tone of voice? What's the official definition for different things? How do you have different elements? So what you would then want to have is your own knowledge base setup, which would then allow answers within that. But the most important thing is to have an audit function. which will then cross-check the output of anything from there against the official definitions of what there is, basically. So within that, you create your own guardrails to make sure that you've got content generated in the way you want to. And then you can have things which like a thumbs up or a thumbs down to help iterate it and improve it over time. But I think the answer is you have to have a guardrail. You have to say what it can do, what it can't do, and restrict its function. So there's a whole thing with prompt engineering how you do that. But if you work with experts and different people, they'll help that set up for you, basically. So.
Okay, great, thanks.
Anybody else? There's a lady in the back there in red. Thank you. We have to hold the mic very close.
Hi, thank you all. My name's Juliana. My question is, what advice do you have in communicating with your wider business when you have people that are resistant to integrating AI?
So I think the question...
It's just an open question to anyone.
Was the question, can I just clarify what the question was? Was the question around the people and teamworks and resistance within the business to AI?
Yeah, just what advice do you have for communicating within your team and promoting AI when there is that resistance?
Okay, so what advice do you have?
Juliana, that's a great question. One of the things that we really recommend is what we call the AI Council, and that's bringing people together from across the business, from different levels, different experiences, different teams, and really bringing them together. They act as responsible champions, if you like, for AI. And because they are given that responsibility of working on things, like the policies, like finding out where within the business you could actually solve problems with AI, they act as enthusiastic supporters who are actually involved in that process. AI, to me, is a massive transformation and change project, essentially, that we're all experiencing at different levels at different times. So to bring people on that journey is really important, and there will be people that are resistant to that. And some of that is building up their trust that they can start to engage with it. And as we, right at the start, we were talking about myths, weren't we, around AI. There's probably a certain amount of fear and reluctance to things, whether they think it might be because they're going to lose their job, or they don't understand what it means, or they don't feel they can trust it. So it's really about looking holistically at what AI is meaning for people and how you can start communicating messages that really enable people to start to be positive and open and engaged with it rather than resistant.
I think one of the things I'd say to everybody is around this notion of transparency and communication. And just like in SMEs, when we have a mission and a vision and a purpose, and we want to share it with everybody in the business, I would probably say exactly the same applies when you're looking to implement something like AI. If you're looking to do it strategically through certain departments, then definitely engage with those departments first and foremost, but it is a whole business thing. And the more earlier you implement it and the more open you are about it, the more acceptance, the more engagement you will get. That's one of the things I'd probably say. Who else has a question? Yes, the gentleman at the back. Sorry, I'm making you do some work today. So the gentleman right in the corner at the back there. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nick.
Can I ask you to hold the mic as close as you possibly can? Thank you. I know
Hi.
it feels uncomfortable.
Is that okay? Yeah, my name's Nick. So I was interested in the building a team of AI agents. So how much line management do they need? What hours should they work?
So, sorry, could I ask you to repeat the question? Could you stand up for me? Thank you.
So a team of AI agents.
Team of AI engineers.
Just come on the stage.
Come on in. Come on
You
up.
could do, actually.
Right.
And now it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AI agents. If you're going to build a team, do they need line management? What hours should an AI agent work?
So the question is around, if I get it correctly, your team of AI engineers, what sort of hours do they work?
The agents themselves, how much
Agents,
supervision do
sorry.
they need? What hours should they work?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so they need to be basically, there's two ways you can do it. You can build your own, which obviously will take more, different elements within there. But what you have to then do is like, if let's say you're working with an organization that will set it up for you, that's where they will help onboard them, a bit like employees in terms of like, what the role is, how they do different elements, guardrails about, how they will manage specific situations, what they will not deal with, what they would escalate to a person, how they would do things in different scenarios. So it's really no different to onboarding a new team member. So it's actually quite good, even when you're a small business, because you're forced to actually document some things. So that's how that can work. And as I say, like the way these teams of AI agents can start to work is, first, we recommend having discrete agents which operate in a particular function and doing that one thing. And then step by step, you can then have that where that could collaborate with a different one and go from there. But it's like you start in stages, if that makes sense, basically. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Okay, time for one more question. Anybody else got a burning question that they want to ask? Now is the time. Anybody? Yeah.
Hi. Can
I
you hear
need you
me?
to stand up, please. Thank
Hi.
you.
My name's Rose. I'm a marketing consultant, particularly in a small medical startup. I get questions with my SME clients about the legal implications of using AI. Do you have any advice on that?
So the question was around medical ethics
and legal implications.
and legal implications when using AI?
Yeah.
Okay.
You were
You're
talking
probably in a
within-
rather,
Yeah, go.
sorry, you're probably in a rather complex area. I mean, there are ways to segregate all of the data whilst building your own model. It can be done. I think in your particular domain, it's more a matter of perception and, education around the fact that, it is okay, it is safe. I guess down to the kind of identification of specific areas where AI would benefit your use case. So if you're building a business plan, that you'd probably be able to derive when it can actually, help process. But
You were asking for medical, right? Was it?
yeah,
Not much medical, but hey, but sure. So basically, the normal rules of a business still apply. You'll still have regulated people, regulated activities, different things like this, right? So the question with different AI implementation is, are you using it in a non-regulated part of the business, in which case it's quite simpler, policy, governance, how it's on your website, how it's customer support. If it's within, say, part of a service delivery or something like this, again, you look at tools which would augment the medical practitioner, but they're still responsible for whatever they do and different things like this. So I think it's just understanding and like zooming into different areas, like what am I using it for, and does it change anything? Generally not. So, it's not about just abdicating and having something do it by AI by itself, if that makes sense, essentially. So, yeah.
Okay, anybody else? All right, I want to leave the last word with obviously our panelists. So if there was one piece of advice that you would give to any SME around implementing AI, what would it be? Georgios, very quickly.
start yesterday.
Start yesterday, there you go. Alok,
I would be curious.
all right, be curious, love that. And Ellen?
Be open to experimenting it and trying it, and really just have a play and see what you think.
Open, curious, and start yesterday. Some sound advice from our esteemed panelists. A huge thank you to Georgios, to Alok, and to Ellen. They shared openly. I hope they've demystified some things and allayed concerns that you may have around your SME journey, whether you're a startup looking to implement AI or you're looking to scale up. I think one thing is for sure, embracing AI thoughtfully can definitely empower your businesses. It will help you stay competitive and innovative in a rapidly evolving market. I want to say a huge thank you to you all for being such a great audience. Enjoy the rest of your day at Technology for Marketing. There's plenty more action today and tomorrow. All that's left for me to say is I'm Arti Halai. Thank you very much for being here and joining us in this panel discussion. Thank you.